that's just the way. What's that you say? Isn't that the way?
Hello and welcome to the Heatbangers podcast. I'm Matty and I'm joined tonight by Gordon and Jurgen Klopp.
Yes, I was hoping you were going to do that.
Neil, how are you? You are looking very, very former Scouse manager-ish today.
I can make a fortune like going to football clubs and that now, but it's just new glasses and that beard trim as well, just a wee bit of tidy. But it's just getting used to it. But I thought I always wanted the see-through glasses that I've got, and then
They're the best kind of glasses, like the see-through ones.
Aye.
see-through ones. They started by the time I got everybody. But I look a bit like Deirdre Barlow now in this like reflection looking back at me. But never mind. How are you?
Yeah, good. I think you look good, Neil. Like, I'm quite happy to
Aye,
pay you
good.
the compliment. Like, I kind of was joking about the Klopp thing, but you're looking very well.
Klopp's a handsome man, to be fair.
Aye.
Not traditionally handsome.
No.
So he's something about him though.
Aye. It'll be more
Aye.
at next season. Eh?
He had a proper glow up though, didn't he? Like you see the pictures when he first joined Liverpool to like now. He's had his nose done, and I don't know. I know his teeth done, and does he still wear glasses? I think he does he? He's had his eyes done.
Sometimes he does.
Yeah.
Only when
He's definitely got a new baseball cap. Like, I noticed that.
Aye. That'll be the payoff filler.
Aye. Got to get some wee perks, eh?
Aye,
Chosen
I
for
know.
the club shop. How are you doing, Gordon?
Aye, all right. I've had one of those weeks and days that everything's just a bit raj. But managing, getting there, just tired, can't wait for my bed. So if I can hurry up with this, that'd be great. Thanks.
Having a day like that as well. Not been a bad day at all, but a tiring one. Up early for the train. Train, right, Fife to Edinburgh at rush hour. 2 fucking carriages. Like, I don't care who thinks it's like this. This is not just a podcast I have a complaint about life in general, or is it right? But we were sitting in. It wasn't that long ago where you had to be 2 meters away from everybody. Now I got on this train at one of the earlier stops. I'm alright, can get a seat. There's still plenty, but by the time I get to the next station, the train's rammed, standing room only, and even then they're asking folk to push up the aisles, and that's before it's got to Inverkeithing, which is like the busiest station. So they're actually at the point where they're having to tell people, we'll give you extra time to get off because we can, you're going to have to squeeze past. And I reckon so I got off at Edinburgh Gateway, and I don't know, like I reckon I either sexually assaulted or was sexually assaulted about 4 times trying to just get through. Like I'm a heavy guy, like I can't squeeze past other folk in the aisle. Do you know, like with it, like bums touching and stuff like that. And I'm like I'm definitely like somebody's taking advantage here. I never took advantage. Like, I'm not that sort of person, but
It's the most action you've had in years, though.
exactly. Can you get off the train? And they're having to ask folk to get off the train to let people off, and they'll give them more time to get back on. I'm like, just chuck extra fucking carriages on. Like, it's no rocket science.
Aye, my heart sinks when the train turns up and you see it's like the less carriages, and you're like, oh no, like it is an absolute nightmare. But then you see like, I don't know if, we aren't, but I was going to say, are we over privileged? Because when you see like in Asia, like India and stuff like that, it's just like the norm. Like they're just like folk falling out the train as it's moving and stuff like that. Just absolutely bonkers.
You see the clips of them like pushing,
Aye.
like literally pushing a crowd of folk in so that they're in time for the doors to shut. Fucking mental.
It is mental.
I just think that's like the sort of rail service, the way it's just never, there's no consideration for the people that use it, as long as it leaves on time and gets to where it needs to be on time.
Yeah. And they'll still stand and take your ticket as well. Like charge you for the ticket.
I know. I had a big massive, I don't know if I've bored you about that before, big massive falling out getting a train ticket, because you cannot get a return ticket, from Edinburgh Park for a different, like to come back on a different day. You have to come back on the same day. But you can get like an open return if you do it online, but you can do it when you do it at the station or like that. We just didn't do that because it's like, it takes longer or it's a shorter journey if you're going through Glasgow. It's like, it's no, actually, it takes longer because it stops in more places, and they just come out with it. And all you need to do, Sheila, is on that machine, just put return, like, come back with, you know what they do for, like, everyone. And see, that, it just annoys me, that. It's just like, why just not do that? There must just be an IT switch. Do you know what I mean? Like, drop that selection and do it. There's just no consideration. But see, the thing, Matt, with the train being busy in that, what about if somebody needs the toilet? What about wheelchair folk in that as well? What happens with them?
Fuck, I do not know. So if you were disabled, I don't care who you get on that train. Short of other people sort of saying, we'll get off and let you on. Which is folk going to their work, right? And there are nice people out there that would do it, but it is like that kind of. I think the provision is for disabled people getting on. Can you and folk take bikes on the train because they'll cycle to the station and for the other station to wherever they're going. I'm like, well, that you couldn't do that on that train. It's just none. You barely had room to get like a bag on and everything. It's just, I just think it's really bad. Folk squeezed in next to strangers, and like it. Not that I'm overly precious, but like in this like a post-COVID world where you can't how easy disease is to pass on, how quickly it'll circulate.
Aye.
It's just like asking for trouble. I just didn't think, like, what are the lessons learned for that period? They would make it think it's all right. Just, fuck it, we didn't care anymore. Nobody's talking about it. You just can all just jam in and be fucking happy about it. It annoyed me. Train coming back was alright. I had 3 carriages, so bit better.
Yeah, seating that wee treat.
Yeah.
The bike things does my head in with trains. It's like, just if you've got to cycle, fucking cycle the whole way.
Make your mind up.
As I drive my car to the station and get on the train, sit on my arse. It's like, fucking hell, just cycle the whole way.
I did. Normally, my daughter, if I be getting the train, my daughter will get my lift to the station and pick me up after it. But she's working the night, so I had to walk back, and realised I needed to pick up stuff for tea. And there's a wee co-op on the way back, so I went to the co-op and didn't have half the stuff that I needed, and the stuff that I did have was about 3 times the price that it's in Tesco. So I was like, I'm gonna have to walk to Tesco instead. So I had to kind of detour to the shopping and then walk back home for there. But actually, remembered how much I quite enjoy just having a good old walk. It's like a nice thing. Like, see if you've not done it for a wee while, and it's a nice day, which it was today. It could be quite like I just had a podcast playing and my headphones in and just chilled it. Just it was like a funny podcast I was listening to. I was quite happy. My feet are sore now. Like, I did a lot of steps, but it's well worth it. I thought I kind of quite missed it. I used to walk everywhere when I was younger, and you learn to drive and you just stop walking. Stupid.
Is that like because obviously you'll take your dog a walk quite a lot? So is it because you were gone somewhere specific that is different rather than just aimlessly walking with the dog?
Aye. So the dog will have like a set route. So you kind of get out, and it's really only a game about exercise and letting him do his business, really. Unless it's kind of like a bigger walk at the weekend, or we take him to the secure park or whatever. So I think it was unexpected, and it was nice to. It was also on my own, which you know you get like that wee bit of sort of like I suppose downtime. Really, you can just, like I say, lose yourself in a podcast and just put one foot in front of the other. It's quite like a nice thing to do.
Aye, so you don't have to worry about the dog or worry about the kids or the wife or anything. You just totally focus on you. Aye, that makes sense. Like I didn't mind walking. I sometimes go like lucky enough to work in the centre of town, and sometimes I'll just go a walk by myself at lunch, go to a few shops and stuff like that, and have a look. Like started in the north and stuff like that. Just go in there, have a wee browse, and it's nice. It's good. Sometimes like as a popular guy I am, someone always wants to come with me for work. I'll come a walk and that. You're like, aye, it's quite good, but I was quite looking forward to having a walk myself. Hope neither will fucking listen to this. Neither come lunch ever again with me. But it's just, I suppose it's just getting a happy medium, right? Like sometimes, I think we talked before about, have we talked a bit maybe, haven't we? But especially like after COVID, going back to things like the office and stuff like that, like I find socialising just fucking exhausting now. Even still now, I don't know if it's just I'm more aware of it, because surely like I'm back into swing of things now. But aye, sometimes like socialising and talking about stuff, and especially type of job I do, I'm constantly in meetings and talking about stuff and listening and talking and listening and talking. And then when you're in the office, in between all of that, you're listening and talking to someone about what they did the weekend or what they're having for lunch or whatever. And sometimes it is just like getting that balance of, well, I need a wee bit of time just to myself. I'm not talking to somebody or I'm not listening to somebody. I can just be me and not have to worry about whatever all the noise that's going on around you. So I think it's just kind of getting that balance. You find that like with the office, like Neil, you're like basically full time in the office since for ages, haven't you? Like in for the two jobs, and again, you like going to the office. You find that as well.
Totally. I prefer it, but I do need that thing where, like, at lunchtime, and I just go for a walk, and folk can come at that, but usually I'll just be by myself. And there's like what Matty says, just get the headphones on. And even if it's because it's not been the best of like springs, it's been brutal. But as long as it's not like pouring rain or that, just go for a wander in the block, just clear the head, and it's good. And then you come back and you're feeling refreshed and stuff like that as well. As opposed to, I used to years ago just like have my lunch at my desk, and then you're just like, you have folk coming up and asking you questions and that. I used to work with a boy, actually, I'm not say where I worked for him, but and we were like business analysts, and he was brutal with folk. Folk would come up to him and he's on his lunch at his desk, and he like, can I ask you a question? He went, "Can you fuck?" Do you know what I mean? He'd be like, what the fuck? Right, I'm eating my lunch. Do you know what I mean? He'd be like, I didn't come up to you when you're on your lunch in the canteen ask a question. So then he fucking asked me a question. I was like, on you go. Right. I just love that attitude.
I like that.
Just away from it, because if not, you just end up. I find it difficult, like that line between like when you're working or when you're no working, like switching off, and that's how like it's good working from home when you can, but then I just like find it difficult to switch off sometimes, and you're just like, nah, I just didn't enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? If you have a difficult day at work, you know what to take it home. So I like the commute, apart from being on like busy trains like Matty, but
walking with somebody can be good as well, though. Like, as much as I was sort of going on about the virtues of walking on my own, sometimes like a good long walk with somebody that you get a good conversation that sort of forces it, because you can't sit looking at your phone. You didn't have like the other distractions, and what I always tend to find is maybe like after the first few minutes of a walk, you start actually kind of properly talking about things, talking and listening. And it can be quite like a healthy thing to do as well.
Have you ever had that, like, I've noticed the last couple of times I've done that and went with someone, and because there's always some shit show going on at my work, there's always loads to talk about, and the walk ends up turning into, like, rather than a 10-minute walk, it turns out like an hour walk, like the whole lunch. And I've noticed that you kind of go into like autopilot when you're walking, because you're so engrossed in the conversation.
Right.
Like, and I found myself going back, like getting back to the office and going, "What the fuck did we just walk about?" Like, I didn't remember like stopping at like crossings and stuff like that. Obviously, Edinburgh City Centre, there's like tons of roads to cross and loads of traffic and everything. You're just like so engrossed. It's like almost like an outer body experience, because you're so engrossed in that conversation, you didn't actually realise you're just on autopilot crossing roads, doing stuff. I find that like I don't know why that popped in my head, but I had that realisation like a couple of weeks ago when I went like a long walk with someone, and then when I got back, I was like, that was just weird, like I in a good way. I didn't actually like consciously remember walking. Like if you're by yourself, I think you're more consciously like, not quite one foot in front of the other, but like I'm going here, I'm doing this, I'm turning this corner. Whereas when you're just aimlessly walking with someone while you're just chatting away, it's a totally different experience. It's weird. I think the point I was making about that.
Sorry, Neil, when you go.
No, I was just going to say the walking side by side. I know when we do the changing rooms and there's a walk and talk from Easter Road, and I think the reason that they sort of started that was because there's something psychological if like you've got somebody by your side talking to them, as opposed to like maybe face to face, where you couldn't do it when one person's walking backwards and the other person. But I think it makes it easier though when you're like sort of side by side and stuff like that. And some of the like the chats and that we've had have been brilliant, like doing that, and it's good. I think just to be outside and open, but away from like everything else as well at the same time, just in your own world. And I love a good walk. I'm good at that. I'm not good at anything else fitness wise, but I love it. Did you feel that?
Coaching football teams.
What was that?
Coaching football teams.
Aye.
The cop. Shite joke. Move on. Forget I said that.
What do you think about solitude as a way of sort of managing your state, your mental state, like having that bit of time on your own?
Aye. Again, I know when we did the changing room, there's one guy on there, and he says he felt quite guilty about like married kids and like doing stuff that like his wife or his kids wouldn't do. But I was like, as long as there's a balance, he'll probably understand. Do you know what I mean? You do need that time away. And I didn't mind that actually, just reflecting. I like it. Gordon, I know you're well into meditating and stuff like that as well. And I've tried to do and just reflect on that Atomic Habits app that you mentioned as well, just like a moment. I quite like, I think I do appreciate like a bit of peace and quiet, like 10 minutes to myself, but then I'll just be easily distracted on like fucking on Twitter and stuff like that. And then, so it's really worthwhile. But
that's still time yourself though, right? Like going on Twitter and things like that. I think I get like there's a perception, and to a certain extent it is right. It's like it is bad for you, but it's the same with anything. It's moderation, and you're still getting time to yourself to, I suppose, focus on your timeline or whatever it is, rather than all the shit that's going on in your life. So I think you can like sort of ridiculous, probably a ridiculous thing to say, but there's parallels with things like social media and meditation, in the respect of the focus side of it, like your focus on something. That's like my missus got ADHD, and that's what she like is really bad for, just getting lost on her phone. But it's like when you look into it and everything, it's because that's just like she gets hyper focused, and it quietens her mind rather than kind of like being overwhelmed by everything that's going on. And that's why they got like the sort of fidget toys that are great for kids. Aye, fidget spinners and everything like that. There's load boards, hundreds of them now. It's not just the spinners. There's all like wee things that you pop in places and stuff like that, and wee rubber things that you pop in and out, and they're like really popular because like for like especially kids with autism or ADHD or on the spectrum, just like lets them focus on something else. Like they've always got, they can have that in their hand and do that. It calms them, keeps them on that, and sort of drowns out all the noise that's going on in their head. So it's like I think there's a lot to be said that for things like, again, in moderation, like social media and stuff like that. But the meditation stuff, like, it's interesting because I'm still dead into it, but I didn't like rigorously practice it like I did when I first started doing it. When I would like every morning would sit for half an hour, and I would sit in the chair or sit on the flare, close my eyes, and I would do it at night in bed and stuff like that. I've started like what I do now is like take elements of it. Like I'm constantly doing the breathing stuff, like the 4-4-4, so like breathing in for 4, holding for 4, breathing out for 4, or just counting my breath to 20.
Do you find that works, the breathing stuff?
Aye, like absolute game changer for me. Like really, really works. Like it just helps me when I'm in a stressful situation or something stressful. The key is like for me, the key is to use it at the right time. Like the hardest part for the things, right? Like they're great when you do them, but it's actually knowing when to do them and doing it at the right time. Because what I was finding is that I was doing meditation in the morning, and that was setting me up for the day to a certain extent. But as soon as something went to shit, which inevitably it usually does, right? It's life. All that was just kind of forgotten about, all the meditation I did in the morning, and it's like that's no any good to me on the long term. Like it's still healthy to do. It was still the whole part of the reason why I did the mindfulness stuff was for self-reflection and self-identification, and like why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, and like what can I do to help that, and it did work. So the whole self-audit side of stuff was the game changer for me. But it's then once you've done that, it's then being able to manage all the stuff throughout the day. And just doing it half an hour in the morning and then thinking, oh, that's me, like, hey ho, let's go on with the day and everything will be absolutely fucking roses. And it's not like that. So I found it took a while, but it's I suppose like the Atomic Habits, right? Like it's I mean, getting a small habit, and constantly doing it at the right time with the right triggers, no hankering about an overall goal, which was to like feel better, or over the long term, it was like, what can I do, like the small things over a period of time, and that was to like start using the breathing techniques at the times where I needed them, and I've managed to I'm better than ever, and I'll be just gradually getting better and better at it. So like if I'm in the car and I'm fucking raging at a driver that's pulled out in front of me, or an email comes in and I'm just like, for fuck's sake, I just instantly now go to like just count my breaths, or just like thinking about my diaphragm moving up and down, just breathing, concentrating on my breathing, and 9 times out of 10 it like completely calms me down and helps me rationalise and step back for the whatever it is that's stressing me out. So it doesn't always work for everybody. Like I'm obviously just saying what works for me, but I think that's what a lot of people do realise about that side of stuff, like mindfulness and breathing techniques and stuff. It's the hardest part is actually establishing when to use it at the right times. That's the key. If you can do that and it works for you, and you can do it at the right times, then you're on to a winner. I think. Like I'm not fucking saying that I'm the Dalai Lama or anything, but like I'm doing all right. Doing all right.
Do you do meditation, Neil? I can't remember if we've talked about it before. Whether you do it.
Aye, I'll do. I'm probably the opposite of Gordon. I'll do it for like a wee. I like a wee like medal and that. A wee like got the apps and you've got like the wee streaks and stuff. So I'll do it, but I'll do it actually. I'll do it. Started doing it again in the morning, where there's a purpose behind it. So like if it's a 3 minute timer, I've got like a wee to do list, and I'll just check it what needs to be done the day. So then you can sort of visualize like where you're going to work. Do you know what I mean? If there's anything like pay a bill or something that needs to be urgent, so you're not getting to the end of the day thinking, "Oh, I should have done it." So I'll just like that 3 minutes, just go through to do list. Right, that's it. And I just do it that way. What about yourself, Mate? Do you do it at all that?
Nah,
You ever tried it?
no. Don't know why not. Like I don't know. I'm sure it would have helped. Like at times, I think like I'm no like football aside, and probably this would help me, but I'm not like an especially angry person. Like I tend like I don't know. Like I can pretend to be, not pretend to be angry, but I can sort of exhibit anger
Mm-hmm.
for show a bit. But actually, I think like deep down, I'm never really that bothered about things to be angry about it, to feel like I need to talk myself down. And I think one of the things that, and it's no, I don't think it's meditation. It's coming, but learning how, right, and again, I'll choose my words carefully. How you can almost like sort of tell yourself, right, you don't have to feel like that, feel different.
Mm-hmm.
There was, I think I've talked about it before, the fish market in Seattle.
Aye, I
Right,
find that
that
interesting.
the choose your attitude is the whole sort of message for that. Just like if you practice doing that, I think like there was one time I was having like a proper, almost a proper like argument at home, and I was like, I'm not going to be angry about it. I just stopped. Like it was like that. I just went, all right, let's move on. But I actually felt it just go like that. I just decided I'm not going to be angry about this, and then so like kind of move on. And I I don't know. Like I think I realise a lot of stuff isn't important in the grand scheme of things. Like I can't remember what it was, but see this sense of perspective about like no, they get too philosophical about it, but how insignificant we're. Like we're not here for a reason. Like I don't feel like I'm here for a reason. I'm just lucky that I'm here, and people are lucky that like the human race is lucky that we're here together, and are able to think thoughts and feel feelings and experiences and these kind of things. But it doesn't like how when I die, there's no legacy. You know, like my kids will remember me. Their kids might remember me. Their kids will not.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? And like I think my well, I didn't think my mum's dad. He was dead before I was born. His dad, they kind in the boot. So it's like there's this thing like you could find yourself wound up about so many insignificant and unimportant things. You just think it's not really worth it, is it? Like and for all manner of things, football aside, which is obviously fucking super important, that deserves your attention and your anger and your joy. But I just think like we are in the grand scheme of things, we are completely and utterly insignificant,
Mm-hmm.
and all the things that we get wound up about are completely insignificant. They're all they're all a construct, isn't it? Like society, a construct of society we all go along with, and the things that we can tell you should be annoyed about that or happy about that, all these kind of things. I think that sort of thing helps me just kind of, I don't know. It's not the same as meditating, but I can kind of just get myself in that mindset to go,
Aye.
I'm not going to get angry about this.
That's like your version of the breathing. Like you just have that change of mindset. You have that, and I think similar quite a lot now, which is really helping me. But I had to go through that journey to actually have that same realization and mindset that you have. I had to do the mindfulness sort of journey to look at myself and go, why am I feeling this way? And are these things important? Are they important to me? What's important to me? Like you've obviously just had that like already, and loads of people do. So that's why it's like totally different. But you, like, rather than going to like counting your breaths, you just have the ability to. Seems to be that you have the ability to go, doesn't fucking matter, and just switch it off, which is great. There's just different ways of dealing with it. What about like anxiety though? Like, can you say the anger and stuff there? Was it that same?
Same. So I can't remember if I talked about this before. So I used to be like terrified of spiders, right? For example, like if you ask my mom and dad or my sisters what it was like as a bairn with spiders, it was fucking like total panic. And then what did I watch? It was like a hypnotist, I think, they were talking about how you would talk somebody out of being scared of spiders, and it was like, right, so if the spider's in the next room and you can't see it, are you scared of it? And the person's like, well, no. And it's like, right, and they bring it closer and closer, and they paint this picture in the person's mind, and they eventually get it to the point where it's like, right, so when the spider's on your hand, what does it feel like? And they're like, a bit tickly, and it's like, right, could you cope with that? Aye. It's what you scared of, and they just rationalise everything, and you're like, man, I'd be scared of a spider. Like if I didn't particularly like them, but I would go deal with, like I'll be the spider catcher in the house, rather than the birds. Or flying is another one that I used to be terrified of. Although I think if you saw the news today about it was London, Singapore, was that what it was? And I mean, horrific. One fatality and however many folk injured for fucking turbulence.
Boy, I think the guy that died was like 70 odd. Though. So I didn't ken, obviously, but like it was an older boy, so I wonder if he's quite frail anyway.
They would be flippant about it, but it was it was a surprise when I saw the headline. But flying is another thing where it was like, I can't remember what I watched. I watched something with like kind of big Airbuses. Like kind of super big jumbo jet things, and they were talking about the testing that they did with these things when they were getting built, and they had these pilots, basically stunt pilots, like bravest fuckers going, would take them to the North Pole and then just do mad stuntmen, like they were doing loop to loops in these planes, and just killing engines, just so like, okay, we'll get it to this height, just kill the engines and see what happens. Can you stall the engines? Can you restart them? How far will it glide? Like. All these things, and even like a plane that big, if the engines failed, its glide path is something like 70 miles. And there's generally an airport within 70 miles plane at any given point. Obviously, there'll be some exceptions, kind of if they're in the middle of the ocean and it's not going to be there. So you're like, these things are totally built and designed to do mad things, and all you're doing is going for like A to B, and obviously, as long as there's no mental turbulence, you should be right in it. Like wee things that just help me. Like when I kind of understand something and go, all right, I can get on board with that, and then I wasn't bothered about flying anymore. I quite like the flight now. I enjoy it. I like the takeoff. I like the landing. Even when the engines go, they're like noisy, fucking quiet.
Aye.
And everybody goes, oh, fucking hell, what's happening? You're like, well, you do that in your car. Can I mean, you're accelerating your car and then you stick it to like sixth gear, and it just goes quiet and just goes along. and that's totally normal. It's just the same fucking thing, isn't it? It's just changed gear. So
realization is the key, though, right? And rationalization is as well. Like, if you can rationalize, because it's bizarre. Like, statistically, planes are the safest mode of transport, right? But you didn't think about, like, I mean, people probably do have fear of driving or getting on a bus or whatever, but most people didn't. Like, you, for example, at the time, you wouldn't have went, I'm fucking getting in the car or get on the bus. Jesus Christ, that's like scary. But you were scared to get on a plane.
Aye.
Like, for whatever reason, you're like, but it's when you start breaking it down, you're like, aye, but it's my daughter's like, she's scared, and I've tried having these conversations with her, but none of that seems to help. I think there's a difference between somebody telling you that and then you having the realization and rationalization.
100%, yeah.
That's the big difference. Like, and the human brain is so fucking powerful when it comes to things like that. I tell you this before, I was trying to do a couple of months ago, I was trying to do like a blood test thing. And I got like a kit sent for the healthcare provider through my work, and you've got to pinprick your finger and then put it into this vial, and the vial's fucking tiny, and like I must heal really quickly as well, so I'm pinpricking my finger and then I'm trying to get it on the thing, and no blood's going in, and I've got a massive fear of blood. I always have, like just pass out fucking like but it's only my own blood though. I can see everybody else's blood, but my own blood, that's me. I did it the first time, and I was on the first time I'd done it, I couldn't get in. It was on the kitchen floor, basically. I didn't quite pass out, but I was very close, and like fucking in tears, greeting, cold sweat, like it was like I'd been in the shower. My clothes were soaking through. This was for a wee tiny pinprick on my finger, and I was like, but I was determined to do this test because I thought it was dying, as you normally do. You look at the internet, and these things happen, right? And there's absolutely fuck all wrong with me. But I was like, nah, I want to get this done. And then I went back to it like 2 days later. But what I was doing in between, so I basically, like, I looked up all this stuff online about like how to help get over fears and stuff like that. And it's like kind of like seeing that program when you like rationalise stuff and everything. And I was thinking like, so I started rationalising it in my head. And then what I was doing throughout the day was like deliberately like imagining myself pinpricking my finger and imagining the blood coming out. And the first few, like the day after it, and after I had the episode, I was on the flare and everything, I was still feeling a bit queasy even thinking about it. And then I just kept doing it, and I kept powering through it, and doing it at times where I knew I was like just sitting on the couch or whatever, that I knew I'd be fine, I wasn't like driving or anything like that. And then I tried again the next, about 2 days later, still couldn't get the blood in, but I lasted quite a bit, and I didn't look. My missus, like, she put my finger, but then I lasted about 5 minutes. She was like, the blood's not going in, and I started feeling queasy, and then I was like, right, just leave it. But I didn't get anywhere near as bad. And about 2 days after that, and I kept doing this in between, like pretending I was pinpricking my finger, hanging about it, talking to myself in my head, constantly going, what are you worried about? It's just a bit of blood. Your heart pumps out all the time. It's totally fine. It's no problem. And then that last time I done it, I still never got any blood in, but I literally stood there by myself looking at it, like the blood coming off my finger and putting it on the thing for about 10-15 minutes. And what ended up happening is like near the blood went in, my finger ended up healing, but I felt completely fine. Completely fine. And I was like, I didn't think I'm fully over it. I ended up having to go to the doctors and getting a proper blood test, which I was fine with as well. And it like did 3 big vials of the stuff, and I was still alright. I felt a bit queasy, as you probably would anyway, and getting that amount of blood taken out of you. But I was like, kind of actually like done something pretty impressive there in terms of training myself.
Yeah.
And it's like amazing how powerful it is, and it goes to show that it's all in your head. It's just all in your head. Have you got any fears like that, Neil? Anything you've overcome?
I don't know if I spoke about it in here before, but I think I maybe mentioned it like in the chat. I used to, when struggling quite badly mental health, used to have, I would like my therapist was like, oh, you need to try like behavioural experiments. So for me, it wasn't really, was it a fear, but first time I'd got an iPhone a few years ago. So the phone was bigger than what I was used to having, or maybe it was a newer iPhone and it was bigger than what I had before. And every morning at work if you walk so many steps leading up to it, you got like a free Starbucks coffee. And it sounds really daft, but my fear was I just mucked everything up. So it was always busy on a Friday morning because everybody was trying to get a free coffee. the phone was too big for my pocket. I had to show them the email that showed I was eligible for the coffee, then go into that app where it was downloaded. They would scan it and I'd get it for free. And I was worried that like people were going to be looking at me. I was going to muck it up, and then I was going to spill the coffee because it's always like roasting hot, obviously. And I remember like so they say like try behavioural experiment where like you judge it or you rate it from like 0 to 100. What so like how much do you think this will muck up? And it'd be like 80% chance this is going to be a disaster. And like, right, talk us through. So I'm going to spill the coffee, I'm going to drop my phone, I'm going to be flustered and stuff. And you rate a percentage of what you think that is. This is just a really sort of general overview. It's something which is probably far more in depth. So then they say, right, try it and see what happens. And then when you do it, you realise that like those fears were nothing. Like, or they would say, like, how often have you dropped your phone when you're ordering a coffee? And I'd be like, I've never done it. I've never dropped. Like, okay. How often have you like fumbled or that? Never. Do you know what I mean? How often have you spilled coffee? I've never done it. So I'm worrying about stuff that hasn't happened. So when you actually do get the coffee, you can reflect on it and say, well, that never happened. I never dropped it. You know what I mean? I never made an arse of myself. But it's just it is a mindset, and it's just a weird sort of thing. Like I could probably still get a bit of a fear about going to stuff. No, it's not a fear. It's just a worry. And another weird one as well is cashing in a lottery ticket. You know, when like if you win like a lucky dip or that, I always feel flustered.
It's never happened to me, so I wouldn't be able to tell you.
I just always feel flustered. It's like I've got to like justify. Oh, I think I won. Well, I know I won a tenner, but I've checked it. But I'm thinking, I don't know. It's just a weird thing. I don't know why.
That's a really fun. Like you've got a scratch card and you take it to the counter and you say, "I think I've got a tenner on that." It's like you didn't say like I've won a tenner. It's like, oh, I think you get them to check it, and I think I could totally get on board with that one. You're like that. I think that would be much more common than you think. Because I think you're worried about looking stupid, eh? Like you get there and they go, "You've not got any numbers," and then you're like, "Oh," and then you got the disappointment because you've no won, and then the embarrassment of getting it wrong. But you know you've got the right ticket. You know you've won it. It is like that irrational thing. I remember somebody doing, it was like a course at HSBC, and it was like for situations like that, so very similar. But they would ask, right, so what if you did drop your phone?
Mm-hmm.
Like, could you cope with it? And you'd be like, I just pick it up. Or say, like, what if the person in front of you dropped their phone? What would you think of them? And you're like, oh, nothing. Can you would pick it up, help them, or pick it up, or check they were all right? And like, so why would you be embarrassed if you did it? It's like these, like playing out the scenario to say, what if the worst thing that you can imagine happening here happened, and could you cope with it? And invariably you go, aye, I could. And so it becomes less a thing to worry about as well, because you think, well, you've imagined, and because your brain's quite powerful, you've put yourself in a position, imagined it going completely wrong, and being okay at the other side of it. It takes away a lot of that sort of anxiety as well, because you're like, what does it matter if it goes wrong? Like, it probably won't. The exercise that you did, you know it probably won't happen, but if it did, you're going to be all right on the other side of it.
It's mad when we do that, like, cause it, like, this is an extreme example, but probably all had like bereavements and stuff and close family and everything. It's like you get through that as much as you didn't want to, and then when you compare it to something like going to get a Starbucks or pinpricking your finger or whatever, it's like how do we know like instantly think we can do this when you've done things that are so hard like that, like losing a loved one or even something worse that's happened to yourself or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's mad that we didn't sort of join those dots in our heads unless we actually really have to think hard about it.
It must be learned behaviour in a way, because like, see when you're a kid, your kids try anything. I can mind being picking up wee pieces. Can you like picking up frogs? Like we get frogs in our back garden and everything. Like I wouldn't dream of picking one up now. But when you're wee, you're like, oh, you fucker a frog. Ken, you would have it in your hand. You'd be showing folk like your worms or all that kind of thing, or you'd be on your bike trying to do mad jumps, like building ramps. That would be a health and safety nightmare, and you'd be flying off these wooden ramps that you've made out of bits of wood that you've found, no helmet on or nothing. But kids are like sort of fearless, and then I don't know if it's the experience of things going wrong, or you start to kind of become more self-aware and self-conscious, and that's where these things start to creep in. And
sorry, Neil, you go.
I was just going to say, I remember hearing a thing and it was about like car accidents, and it was like if a car crash, like babies and toddlers were more likely to survive than adults. Like horrible talking about getting if like the car accident and folk getting thrown through a window. Babies or toddlers also survive it, and it's because I think it becomes like a psychological thing as well. Because whereas like, and like that split second, you're like, oh, this, I don't know, you just know it's more worse than what you do when you're younger. You're not really got that built in, but there was like some sort of research done it and says, I like kids are like oblivious to it. Do you know what I mean?
Is it? I don't know. So like, if you're better know in these situations to brace, like to tense up. I think that's what it is. You tense up, you're like fuck. Whereas I think if you're relaxed, you have much more chance of surviving it. I don't reckon exactly why. I suppose there's a million different things that could happen when you crash a car, but
Yeah.
like I think that I've definitely remember something about that. But it is like I can't remember what I was going to fucking say there. Must have been important.
Aye, that's probably a decent point to call a night, I think, on that note. We'll be back in a fortnight with another episode of, I don't care how you would describe this chat. Stuff.
Aye, heat bangers. That's about it.
Aye, heat bangers.
Make up your own mind.
Aye, let us know anyway. Get in touch. Where you'll find us on Twitter at Heatbangers Pod. Yeah, Heatbangers Pod.
Yeah.
I was going to say podcast, but it's not the full word. Aye, look out for us there. Aye, and please do recommend us to other folk as well. It goes a long way to help us grow the podcast. Gordon, Neil, thank you very much, and thanks for listening. And we will see you again.
Isn't that just the way? What's that you say?